Hello everyone. I'm Scottobozo, and joining me in commentary today, I've got a legendary host of commentators, all of which were here 2 years ago for AGDQ 2021 All Platinum Bolts race in Ratchet 2. So joining me today, I've got Zem, Torpedo, and DylWingo.
Hi everyone, how's it going?
Hello. Hello, Scottobozo, and hello everyone.
Alright, so let's get a little bit of housekeeping up. I'm playing on the German language because it is the fastest language in the game. You know, you wouldn't expect that if you play any RPGs because usually, like, German just has a lot more text, but in this game we have some unskippable dialogue, and it just happens that, I guess, the audio files are trimmed a little bit shorter on the German version of those audio files. So yeah, let's get into the run. This is, of course, the All Titanium Bolts category, like we mentioned, which means I'm going to be playing through every single level in the game to some extent. So I'm just about ready to go. As soon as I gain control of Ratchet, that's when time is going to start. You can see there's always these nice ship loading animations, but time's going to start in about 3, 2, 1, go.
And so now here we are on Velden, which is the first planet in the series in the original game. And it's the first planet in this game as well. Scott has to basically just use a lot of pack movement to kind of maneuver through this level. There's two different packs he's going to be swapping between. The first one he's going to be using is the thruster pack because it is going to be the fastest way of moving around for right now. But don't worry, the helipack will make its appearance before you even know it. So right now, Scott's just doing the first half of Velden. Nothing too crazy going on here. And
there was a ship that just kind of killed itself for no reason. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, it just explodes at random. Yeah. Kind of awesome.
I feel like the tier noise just might not be that great at vehicle maintenance.
No, not really. Does anybody want to explain what Scotto's about to do here on the camera clip?
All right. I'll take over for it, I guess. An interesting thing to note about these Ratchet & Clank games is the camera's a physical object, so if you're just somehow wedge it into a wall with Ratchet, with enough speed, you can actually just clip right through. And what Scott is going to do here is going to clip through the door. You normally have to kill a few waves of enemies here, and there's a clip. This allows him to now just jump over the bridge, ignore the vehicle, and he should be through.
Yep.
Perfect Velden.
Nice. Very nice.
On to planet Florana.
Yep, we're coming up onto Florana. As always, the first planet in every Ratchet & Clank game is a tutorial level that doesn't have any collectibles, but don't you worry, I'm going to be collecting the first Titanium Bolt very quickly here on Florana.
Yeah, and of course, Torp did confuse the two, but it's not their fault. They do look very similar.
I do live in Florida, and this is very accurate.
So right up here, you're going to see a technique that Scott's going to do called a slope intercept. So Scott is going to get a little bit of a little standstill on a sloped object there, which allows him to reset Ratchet and do into a grounded state and do another jump. So he was able to get this titanium bolt without even having to touch the ladder, and is now going to death abuse back to the opening area and just hop through this little gate here. Normally, you have to go through the entire level in a gigantic circle. But thankfully, wait, who wants to do it? I know Jay Hobbs is listening.
Torpedo.
Torpedo, you got to do it.
So, pretty much an important thing to note about pretty much all the Ratchet & Clank games is that they put you at or near your ship when you finish the main objective of a level. What this means for a speedrun is we can literally just go right through the door there and get straight to the path of death and just go on ahead and fight Steve. Also, we're at 2 of 40 platinum titanium bolts now.
He's at the end of the planet.
Yeah, so the end is always at the beginning of all these Ratchet and Clank levels. The designers were very efficient at Insomniac Games with how they programmed the levels. So, in almost all situations. Fight. Yeah, here we go. So first boss fight of the game here. So Scott's going to do a technique where he's going to rapidly put away and take back out the nitro launcher over and over to do massive damage to Quark. Blows him up in, under 10 seconds here, eliminates almost the entire health bar, and now he's going to very tactically finish off the boss with the shock cannon. The goal here is to get the shock cannon to V5, a couple of planets from now, but you want to funnel as much experience as possible into the shock cannon And in Ratchet and Clank 3, unlike the later Ratchet and Clank games, it does not matter how much damage you do with each weapon. All of the experience gets funneled to whichever weapon lands the final blow. So he's able to manipulate where all the experience goes based on what the last weapon he uses is.
Yeah, so you can see my shock cannon here is already at level 2 and about a quarter of the way to level 3, which is really good for just being out of Florana and having skipped pretty much all of the enemies on Velden. This is really good.
Yeah.
And now we're coming up on another death abuse, which is pretty funny. We're going to be doing a lot of death abuses in this run, as you already saw me die to the fish.
Yo, when you walk it.
Here, I'm going to glide against this rail for 5 seconds, and then when I let go of X, the game just thinks I'm stuck and warps me back to the ship.
Yeah, the Starship Phoenix actually doesn't have any checkpoints, so that's pretty nice.
I promise,
Very
though, this
convenient.
run gets off the rails a little bit more.
Yeah, this is gonna essentially be Marcadia. The level coming up here is essentially the last level before the craziness begins. But there is still a lot of stuff, a lot of little things that Scott has to do here to really maximize the amount of time that he's going to be spending here on Marcadia. So first and foremost, he's going to be killing as many enemies as possible with the shot cannon as he's moving forward. He breaks a ×2 crate right here, which not only doubles bolts, it also doubles the health you gain, and most importantly, it doubles the experience that you get per weapon. So now, God is just going to be running through this overworld, lighting up enemies, trying to funnel as much XP as possible, and ideally getting relatively close to V3 by the time he enters the Marcadia missions. So he picks up number 3 on the titanium bolt train here. Oh, I'm sorry, this is number 4, right? No, I'm correct. I was correct the first time.
It is number 3, that's correct.
Yes. And now he's going to make his way on over here. This overworld is pretty short, sweet, and to the point because the big thing in Marcadia is the missions.
Yeah,
So,
looking at very excellent XP right now.
yeah, this is looking very solid. So again, always keep your eyes on not just the bar and how it progresses, but when it completes. Something that Scott's going to be doing here, he's going to be making sure that he puts the shot cannon away as it levels up. Now, if you've ever played these games casually, you know that when a weapon levels up, there's like this 5 or 6 second cutscene, but you can just skip the whole thing if you put the weapon away or swap to a different weapon. And so you'll see it actually during this mission. Scott will attempt to put the shot cannon away as it hits V3, and you'll just see, instead of there being a cutscene, it just says on the screen, you know, the shot cannon has hit V3 or whatever it says in German.
Yeah, right there.
There it
Got
is.
the animation cancel. I just barely didn't upgrade off the One Eyes, so I knew that, you know, just one saucer there was going to upgrade it. And since my XP is so good, I'm not really worrying about letting most of these saucers spawn their enemies.
Yeah, that is something to note as well. You'll see it in the later missions here as Scott attempts to farm more XP. But Scott wants to manipulate where the saucers are. And there's no 100% surefire way to manipulate these. However, what Scott is looking for is saucers that spawn in the middle. Anytime they don't spawn in the middle, he's going to blow them up and attempt to get a middle spawn on the saucer because it drops the One Eyes the fastest.
But yeah, these missions are pretty straightforward. I'm just going to spawn camp all the enemies as soon as they get out of the ship. So we can go ahead with a few donations right now.
Sure, we have a $100 donation from Dan MCD, who says, Ratchet and Clank runs at GDQ are always a good time. Best of luck, Scotto. We have $50 from Bookworm42, who says, what's this? A bonus game incentive not met yet? Come on, chat, we can fix that. Here's to the RE Village bonus game. And a quick update on that, we are now less than $14,000 away from that bonus game being met. So continue to get your donations in for that.
Let's get a couple more in here. There's still
Sure.
about 30 seconds of the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a $40 donation from Fat Lemon that says, my favorite weird food from when I was a kid is bologna and mayonnaise on cinnamon raisin bread. Don't knock it till you try it. Donation to RE Village. Let's go! And $25 from Orange Lightning, who says, final push for Resident Evil. Let's go. Hype!
All right, real quick. So why you're seeing Scotto die at the end of these missions is typically when a mission's done, you can actually just hit end mission and exit out of the mission, right? that only works on the PS2 version. The autosave prompt on the PS3, and really a few PS3 systems in general, kind of prevent you from doing certain things that you want, so you have to find alternatives. So what Scotto's trying to do at the end of these missions is to fall in the mud and die before the mission actually properly finishes, just to finish it a little bit faster.
One shot, of course. It's always like that.
It's always one shot, yeah. I'm sorry, wait, can we just go back to the bologna and mayonnaise thing real quick? That sounds putrid. Absolutely putrid.
I squirmed reading that, I must say.
I'm just not a
I think I'd rather
person.
go farther back and say, cheers, Dan, for the good luck.
Yes, I would agree with that. Dan is a very established runner of Ratchet Deadlocked. We have a lot of runners who run all the different Ratchet games. It's a very, very broad community. It's been getting bigger and bigger every year, and it's becoming more and more of a family as time goes on as well. It's an amazing community.
And yeah, now we're on to mission 4. This is a timed mission. As you can see in the bottom right, there's a little timer there. Fun fact, every time you press triangle, that timer takes 1 extra frame to go to the next second. So you can just throw the run by spamming triangle if you wanted to. But yeah, all I'm doing here is just maximizing my XP still, so we can get quite a few more donations in.
Okay, we'll see what we got here. We got a lot of village. We got a lot of cursed food stuff going. We had a $10 donation from, French Toast. Says, food crime. I used to eat a minimalist taco salad as a kid. Ground beef and kidney beans covered in French dressing. Delish. We had a $5 donation from Great Wani who says, let's go. Let's get the Shadow of Rose incentive. And we are now less than $13,000 away from the Resident Evil Village bonus game. So keep those donations coming in.
And you saw I got the upgrade animation there. That loses a few seconds technically, but actually the timers kept going while the animation played. So all I lost was maybe one saucer that could have respawned.
Yeah, and I want to go back a second to what we were talking about earlier with the saucers spawning in certain spots. This is where it's really important, the final 30 seconds of this mission. Scott wants to really make sure that these saucers are spawning in a very specific location. You can see right now that saucer dropped those little one-eyed ankle biters immediately. So that's the proper saucer spawn. These little guys, for whatever reason, give you so much experience. They give you just as much, if not more, than those giant three-eyed dudes who fired the laser. So Scott really wants to make sure that he's getting as many saucer spawns as possible. And this is really good.
Very good RNG.
This is like, this is like absurdly good RNG. This is very, very solid.
Very epic.
My XP has been good the whole run, and that did not change it at all. It is still insanely good. But yeah, this mission is just some bolt cranks, so we still have time for donations again.
Well, the good news is we have plenty. We have a $50 donation from Arsenic Gnome who says, donation 2 of at least 4 for the week. Need to get that RE Shadow of Rose run, so here's 10 tickets on the $5 train. We have a $25 donation from Pure Hype who says, Resident Evil? More GDQ? Yes, please. We have a $13 donation from Non-Binary Code who says, oh, and my food crime, peanut and mustard sandwiches or peanut butter and cheese and mustard sandwiches.
I did peanut butter and cheese. They're actually so good. I agree with that one.
All right, Torpedo, how about you get to the next trick in the run? Because I know you have a great explanation for that.
So, okay, imagine there is a bus, and this bus comes in 10,000 frames.
Okay, I'm imagining.
So, if you hop into some mud real quick, and then all of a sudden get pulled out of it, you have everything that you can do for 10,000 frames. You can jump through walls. A wise man once said, what is a floor but a ground wall? That person's a freaking liar.
Yeah, that's true.
While you're waiting for this bus to end, or to arrive so you can get on it, you're able to just, again, jump through walls, land on floors, go wherever you want.
Camera's
And
really messing with me here.
Ooh, okay. Good save, good save.
what Scott is going to do here is while he's waiting for that bus, that timer to end, because he died and cancels his own death, Ratchet is intangible through walls, meaning he can just jump through these, collect items. He can still actually properly take damage and whatnot, but that's not going to be an issue here. But this skips us getting the refractor gadget, which is like a 3.5 minute puzzle.
And I'm sorry, I don't know if you actually said this, because when you mentioned the bus analogy, my eyes rolled to the back of my head. But Torp is not lying. It actually is a 10,000 frame or like a roughly 3.5-ish minute timer here on Ghost Ratchet. That is true.
Yeah, so if I went extremely slow, which I did go pretty slow here, but if I went extremely slow, then I might not have been able to finish the level. But there's a lot of leeway in those 3.5 minutes, since this split usually only takes about 1 minute and 6 seconds in the run.
Look at that, you caught the bus.
Yeah, we're coming up here on another huge glitch. Ghost Ratchet goes away between planets, by the way. But we're coming up on another huge glitch, which is known as a box yeet, as is named in the video of the year.
True.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the suck cannon, and I'm going to go into the VR training arena to try out using the suck cannon, and we'll see what we can do with it pretty quickly.
Yeah, the alternative name, I just wanted to mention it just for the culture, is called the Boxy, named after the queen of the internet. So, you're going to see here in a second. But what Scott's going to do here, Scott's going to suck up a box and store it in between missions. So he's going to exit out of this mission and go into the mission again.
And I want to try and hold the suck cannon for exactly 2 or 3 frames. Oh, I almost had it there.
Ooh,
I held it for
attempt.
exactly 2 frames, but the timing on the triangle press after I jump is also very tight, so...
So I do
This is
want
a
to ask
very
you
hard trick, but once you get it down, it looks incredible, just like this. So there I got the 3-frame shape, which is slightly slower,
Yo, Greg.
but it's still really good. You can see I've just flown my way over to the VR training for the swing shot, and I'm just gonna do another little camera clip here.
Ooh,
if
that scared
I
me.
do the inputs correctly. Let me get this back up. And there we go. I've done VR training, and there is bolt number 6.
That was a nice Greg, Scott.
Yeah, that was a nice Greg. We've named each of the boxy positions, or box yeet positions. Susan is the perfect one. Greg is the one that Scott ended up getting, and there's also Anthony.
So I do want to ask,
yeah.
what was the inspiration of these names?
There was no inspiration. We
Yeah,
just
it's-
thought of funny names.
It's just a vibe, you know, you just kind of feel it sometimes. You can
thought
just
you were-
tell.
I thought you were about to
Anyway,
tell me
this is
that
the
you knew
Cork
someone named
VidComic.
Susan
It's a
Greg
2D
Anthony.
minigame that we have to play a few times in this game. And you get a titanium bolt for every 100 tokens you collect. So it's very important that I collect every token and don't miss any. There's a little bit of movement tech here. You can punch before you jump. That gives you a little bit of speed. You can punch after you jump. That gives you a little bit of height. And you can do a combination of the two, which gives you both. And that's going to be the bread and butter of our movement throughout the VidComics.
To describe it, it's like Mega Man meets Celeste.
True. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
actually...
these VidComics are pretty simple.
And
You
I
can get a
do-
couple donations in.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we have a $5 donation here from Jazzba, who says, "Hello, everybody. My boyfriend Dredd and I bonded and fell in love with each other over our shared love of Ratchet and Clank. Up Your
way.
Arsenal is our favorite. Thank you for running it this year. Let's get our other favorite, Resident Evil 8, met. Fun fact, RE8 came out on our 3rd year anniversary."
Oh, that's cool.
That's
is
a
so cool,
blessed
actually.
relationship.
It really is. We got time for any more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, we got a good one here. We got a $200 donation from Ansgrim, who says, "A big thanks to the runners and the crew for coming together to make another amazing AGDQ. Incentive goes to announcer's choice. Well, of course, my choice will be the Village bonus game. Thank you, Ansgrim."
That was the final boss of the VidComic there. If there's a little bit of RNG, if it comes at the top like it did, that's good. If it comes with a lower path, that loses about 2 seconds. So I got some good RNG there.
You got a skill point, too. I feel like people
Yeah.
would have trouble getting both the tokens and the skill point in that. You must be pretty good at the game.
I did actually wanted to mention real quick, because I don't think it's super well known. I mean, people do know that there are speedrunners of Ratchet and Clank games, but I don't know how many people know that there's actually quite a rich history of the VidComic speedruns. The VidComics over the years have had a lot of really cool advancements and changes in movement tech that we can potentially go into as they continue happening in the run. But obviously, we don't have time for that right now. because we're going somewhere totally different. And this is going to really change. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's one more planet before things really start to change here.
Well, things do change quite a bit here on Annihilation Nation, because this is, in fact, where I'm going to be getting the V5 shot cannon that we've been hyping up this whole time.
True.
But first, we have to get through this obstacle course. After that, there's going to be an arena where there will be finally enough enemies to get us to V5.
Yeah,
anyway, there's bolt number 8.
I was gonna say, Zem, how could you forget about another day, another death course?
Another day, another death course. You know how it is. That might be one of the most like sleeper like good lines from this series.
Really is.
There's a lot of really amazing lines. I mean, mine will always still be the mating season one, but
yeah, that is actually up there.
Yeah.
And by the way, you see that I get the skill point for Flee Flawlessly, and it gives a trophy notification in the top right corner. I'm playing on a fresh user account on my PS3, and that's going to be very important later.
It's a surprise tool that'll help us later.
Do not forget the trophies.
Do not forget it. Do not forget the trophies.
Wink, wink.
Unfortunately, we're not going for the platinum trophy here. We're going for titanium anyway.
Okay, you gotta relax.
Yeah, chill, Torp.
I do. I'm legit just sitting back in a recliner right now while I'm commentating.
You're just vibing.
Yeah, vibing like crazy.
Indeed.
Alright, there's the shot cannon. I'm just going to use some regular shots to clear out these little enemies. And then as soon as this round's over, you're going to see the power of V5.
Yeah.
They're just all dead instantly. That's how it works.
That is quite the spectacular beam of death.
Yeah, I think maybe there were probably some people who figured this out casually when they played through the games, like as kids, or maybe, you know, a little bit later. But you can actually not only weave this shot cannon blast in a line, you can also weave it back and forth. And that's going to be very, very important for shredding bosses. If Scott does it absolutely correctly, he can manage to hit the bosses that he's going to be fighting 2 and possibly 3 times. 3 is optimal. It doesn't go beyond 3, unfortunately. But so Scott's going to be attempting to go for triple hits on every single boss anytime he uses the shot cannon.
Also, that was a really good Annihilation Nation. I'm going to have to retime that. That might be a gold.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was.
Anyway, we're heading back to the Phoenix now. We're getting the Aquatos coordinates, and we're just going to do everyone's favorite trick in the run by now. Gliding at a fence for 5 seconds.
One of the most high-octane gameplay you'll see all night.
Coming
now, heading
up,
up
though,
to Dax. And DylWingo, tell us what we're going to do on Dax.
Yeah, so Scotto's going to get an item called the Charge Boots, and the run is going to change completely from here on out. Like, from here on out, the movement tech is going to be absolutely different. We're not going to be relying on pack movement anymore. Ratchet 2 and Ratchet 3, the Charge Boots are extremely broken. We rely on a lot of techniques that involve what's called neutral tech, and we're going to be utilizing weapons as well as broken movement in the game, and we're going to be able to abuse this incredibly, and we're going to be doing just insane movement. Zem can actually talk about a little bit of the movement here because he's one of the most experienced runners throughout the whole series.
Sure. Basically everything here involves momentum storage. That is the basic concept that's happening with these charge boots. So you double tap R1, you fly forward. Now, that's pretty obvious just by looking at it, but what's not as obvious is that the charge boots slow down after a full second of being activated. So all of the momentum, you have to store it within the 1 second window of the charge boots being at full speed. So for example, what Scott is doing right here is something called an insta whip. So the inputs on that, he charges forward, he fires the shot cannon and swaps to the whip at the exact same time by pressing triangle and circle, and then continues to hit circle until the whip completely comes out, and then you can long jump out of the whip animation. So
and as you can see, I've been doing a ton of stuff during that explanation. I killed an entire boss, if you didn't notice that.
Yeah.
This is where Ratchet Commentary GDQ starts to be... There's a lot to unpack.
There's always way too much to talk about and never enough time in these games.
Yeah.
It's
how
no
it always
exaggeration to
goes.
say that like the run looks entirely different now than where we were on Marcadia.
We also picked up the tier guys, which is also another item that's incredibly broken. We're going to be doing a lot of different movement with that, but one of the more important ones is Tira flips, which is a pretty not new trick, but it's been recently mastered by several Ouya runners, and it's gotten to be a lot more essential for these categories in the game.
Yeah, another thing I did with the tier guys was way back at the start of Dax, you could see when I had the giant boot floating above my head, that was an animation cancel. Basically, the tier guys resets your state, so you can just move during those animations when you're not supposed to be able to move. But yeah, here's Obani Gemini. This is a spherical world, so the charge boots actually start out at their slowest speed. There's no reason to spam charge or anything like that. So I'm just going to be going through this nice little path that gets the bolt, and then gets over to the end of the puzzle, which we can conveniently clip through. Since we never picked up the refractor, this is what we gotta do.
Easy.
Yeah,
Very
easy
clean
peasy.
Gemini.
Now I'm going to use the tier guys again to cancel this jump pad so that I don't have to fall as far to get to that titanium bolt. That's another niche use case of the tier guys, is that you can cancel those jump pads. And now here's my first instance of using infinite jumps in the run.
Yeah, infinite jumps are extremely input intensive. They are... The essential way that it works is that you equip the tier guys, you press square as you're turning into a Tyranoid. Then you press triangle to exit the tier guys, and then press square again to swing the wrench, get a grounded state, and then double jump out of it. And so for oftentimes what a lot of what these are for runners, it becomes hold triangle, press up, square, square, triangle, triangle, square, square, X, X. And then you just do that over and over and over. It can be very rigorous on the fingers, but once you get enough experience like Scott has, it's just, you know, it kind of becomes second nature after a while. Your fingers...
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
I was just going to say the fingers get used to the abuse.
I was going to say with the box heat strat that was discovered recently, that actually also eliminated a huge infinite jump section in the Starship things to get the VR bolt, and it made it so much more accessible, this category.
Now, going on to Aquados here, there is a ton of swag strats here, and people don't often get to see a lot of these strats because this is one of the only categories where you go to Aquados. A lot of the ones where you go to Aquados, they're not super popular or meta, but of course this category has some insane movement in it. So what Scott's going to be doing
the most
here...
you've seen of Aquados at GDQ is in Zem's Any% run back in AGDQ 2019, where he just went there and immediately left.
That's true.
So this is what Aquados actually looks like in a cool looking run where you go to Aquados.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for as cool of a level as it is, we are leaving Shadow Dude behind.
The
Okay,
tier
that's
guys,
another funny death abuse.
another
Just
thing to
turn
note,
into
the tier
Tyranoid.
The tier guys can also do what's called animation cancels. So a lot of the titanium bolts we'll be getting, Scotto will actually be equipping the tier guys right before the bolt is triggered, and he can actually cancel the animation and a lot of times trigger a faster death abuse while grabbing the bolt.
Yeah, just like I did on Dax with the movement when I got the charge boots. The tier guys is incredibly useful for just canceling your state whenever you need to do that, whether it be for infinite jumps or canceling animations.
We haven't even gotten to the best use of the tier guys, where you just become a little guy.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to be a little guy, you know.
You can wave.
And burp. Don't forget the burping.
True.
Maybe there's a nice camera clip with the whip. That's pretty fun.
Oh, nice.
That is clean.
Very clean movement overall there. That was a very good overworld section. So now what Scott's going to be doing here, he's going to be buying the turrets, and you can notice in the top left corner, do you see how he has like that little like claw-looking thing as his main equipped weapon? That's the hyper shot. He got that when he entered VR doing the boxy. But here is the... Oh, sorry, I was very scared there for a second because the feed like froze on my end. So I was like, oh no,
Me too, yeah.
What's happening? So Scott has to make sure for right now that he keeps the hyper shot is what that's called. It needs to be in the first or second slot as he buys the turrets, because whatever weapon you buy, it overwrites the weapon in the final slot. And because he did VR skip, he doesn't actually permanently have the hyper shot. So once he overwrites it, it is gone. It is gone forever. And then like, it wouldn't be awful if he lost it at this point, but it's, you know, it's going to save a couple seconds to have that thing. So for right now, this is the first Clank section of the run. He's going to be going through here with Scrunch the monkey, who will become a bit of an important player later.
You only need the theoretical hyper shot for like one more level after this, right?
It's literally just this.
Oh no.
So, oh, This is one of the scariest parts of the entire run. The alarms
True.
on Aquados. They are horrifying. The way that they go red and then they
Then you
make
just
a
die
noise.
immediately.
But yeah, unfortunately there, what happened was that, you know, again, this is a very, very input intensive game. And one tiny little mistake can completely screw over a really good run. So what happened there was, Scott actually hit square too soon, if you can believe it. He was too much of a gamer, and the game punished him for his skill. So now what he's attempting to do here is just go through and do the Tyranoid section for the fans.
Yeah,
See?
we gotta
Little
let him
guy.
burp for a little bit.
Yeah,
Let
the
him
burping
burp.
is important. He drank a lot of soda before he got to this planet. It was long overdue.
Speaking of soda,
Alright, let's try this again.
hydration check for any viewers.
Hydration check. Good call.
I got my
Alright, there we
gallon
go.
right here
Now we're
next to me.
through. We can get to the sewers. Jumping
Yeah.
through with probably the best loading screen in the game.
And that
out
was
to
the
the
first of
Ratchet
many
One Twitch
tier
account.
flips as well. That was
Yes.
a tier flip, which those are also very input intensive, just like the IJs.
But yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to what Torp just said. Yeah, gamers, if you have a glass of water that is unfinished on your desk, make sure that you finish. Stay hydrated. Dehydration is rampant among gamers everywhere. We need to make sure that we're fighting it.
Not to mention, if you hydrate, you make us here happy.
True.
May
And isn't
I
that what
also
matters?
jump in with an incentive update?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. We are less than $10,000 away. We just crossed the $80,000 threshold for Resident Evil Village Shadow of Rose. We're less than $10,000 away, so make sure we have a little less than an hour to go on this run, so make sure you get your donations in now.
So something to note here, Scott intentionally took damage there. He's now at 5 health out of 21. The numbers are a little arbitrary in this game, but all you need to know is that he will die in one more hit, and that's completely intentional. He wants to death abuse after getting this titanium bolt because he's kind of in a tucked away, awkward section of the level here. So dying once puts him right next to the plumber. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to talk to the plumber. He's got a pretty bad case of plumber's cracks, so he wants to stay away from that. And instead, he just goes and into the ship to finish up the level and go back to his ship and leave.
He meant, hey, look, the plumber's back.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. Ratchet had to correct himself there.
Also, Zem mentioned the 21 nanotech. That's important that my max health is 21 because it saves a whopping 1 second on Annihilation Nation 2, which I'm going to right now. The boss has health dependence on your health. So if I had 22 health going into this, then the boss would take 4 hits with the charged shot with the shock cannon. But thanks to me having only 21, it takes 3, saving about 1 second.
We save the frames around these parts. And Scott absolutely nailing the Annihilation Nation proxy. That is one of the most evil proxies in the entire route. So it's really good to see him nail that one. And now here, he's actually going to hit the end of level trigger from outside of the dome. And like Scott said, he's going to nail Scorpio, just get him done and dusted in 3 hits, which is just 1 triple weave of the shock cannon.
Yep.
And onwards we
And
go
that was
to
a very
Hollister.
clean nation too.
That
Actually,
was
I think
a very
Railgar's
clean one.
next.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
of
next.
course, Railgar.
We're heading to Blackwater City because we haven't done that part of the story yet. It's important to get the gravity boots for
Yeah.
a few things.
We need them for the sewers.
Mainly just continuing with the game. But yeah, you've seen me use the shock cannon mostly on bosses recently, so what I'm going to be doing for these ranger missions is very important. I'm going to be trying to pick up ammo boxes at specific times when I run out of shock cannon ammo. And this is important because although the charge shot consumes 10 ammo when you use it, you can use it if you only have 1, and then you'll just go to 0.
Yes.
So I'm trying to conserve my ammo here.
The way that we like to describe Blackwater Mission 1 is that if everything goes perfectly, it looks extremely simple. But the instant one little thing goes wrong, sometimes it can get very, very bad here. So Scott has to play pretty much on the razor's edge of perfection on this mission. So far, so good, taking out everything in just a couple of weaves here. Doing great on the ammo count as well. Now it's going to be a matter of managing the ammo that comes out of these boxes. So like Scott said, he can go all the way down to 1 and still get a full shot of the shock cannon off. So he wants to kill these little one-eyes here. And the saucers are a little bit scary, but if he times it well, which he did, He can get through all of that without taking too much more damage. And now here, all he has to do is just kill all these enemies. He picks up one more ammo. And then ideally, with one more swing of the shotgun, can take out all the rest of them. Beautifully done. Fantastic mission 1 there, Scott.
Now here on mission 2, I'm going to be trying to jump over to the other side. This is pretty difficult though, so I'm going to end up skipping it this run. Once I kill about 6 of these saucers, that's when the enemy ships start coming. So if I was on the other side, I could have killed these a little bit sooner. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to take some backup strats here.
Yeah, in Ratchet and Clank, it's very funny, especially in this game. It feels awful anytime you don't get the absolute optimal strat, but then like, you know, this strat only loses a couple seconds, maybe, to the optimal strat. So it feels bad, man, but it's not as bad as, for example, taking a death by falling in the water too early.
Okay, that's not good. So I shot the turret there, which could ruin the ammo pool here. But I'm just gonna
So we never actually...
trust. I got a double ammo drop, but 3 of those were turrets. So I'm gonna have to play perfectly here. If I miss a single weave, then I'll be losing a lot of time. But this is enough ammo to continue.
Yeah, you can do this. Easy peasy.
All right, I missed one saucer. I'm gonna kill it with the turrets.
Makes sense.
That way I still have the weaves for the ships that spawn.
Again, like we said in the Ratchet games, there's oftentimes way too much to explain and not usually enough time to be able to explain it to people who don't have an intimate knowledge of this game. But something to keep in mind, and what Scott was talking about here, is that ammo management is a very valuable resource in the any percent categories of Ratchet and Clank. So whenever you fire a weapon, let's say, for example, you fire 2 separate weapons, there's a relatively equal chance that if you break an ammo crate, you'll get ammo for one just as much as there is a chance that you'll get one for the other. However, if you only fire one weapon, you can guarantee that you'll always pick up ammo for that specific weapon.
Here's a new death abuse, by the way. We're just walking for a moment here.
Yeah, when you walk in.
When you walk in.
And
Maybe
yeah, now we're on to Tyrannosis. And this is going to be a pretty fun planet, mostly because of the soundtrack at the start. This is one of my favorite soundtracks in this game. And you only get to hear it when you're doing this free fall here.
Yeah, after the free fall and after the first initial part of the planet, Insomniac Games literally just has it so you can't listen to it ever again. It's pretty sad.
Alright, so if there's one thing that we have learned from, like, any sort of run in this, or at least that Ratchet's learned, we're supposed to be infiltrating the Tyrannoid base and making sure that the Phoenix's dropship can safely land and everything, right? That's supposed to be the theme of the level. So we're going to infiltrate in the best way we know how. By going over it. And doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's amazing how many things in this game are solved by doing absolutely nothing. But this is actually going to be one of the more obvious instances of what we call proxying. We didn't really explain it all too much before, but Scott, similar to how, if you remember back when we explained the whip method, when Scott canceled his charge with the shock cannon and swapped to another weapon, he did the same thing here. He charged into a wall at full speed and shot the shock cannon, swapped to the turret, and threw a turret at the same time. And the animation of the turret launched him directly upwards. And we call that a proxy. It is a practical redistribution of x-axis movement into y-axis movement. Proxy. Originally coined... that's not actually why they call it proxy, but that's just like a backronym. Like it's something that we made up after the fact. But it was originally found in games like Spyro the Dragon, for example. And they get mad when we call these proxies. They have a different definition of proxies that they use, but, you know... we just borrowed it from our Insomniac cousins, you know? We managed to use it for our own sadistic purposes.
But yeah, that's Tyrannosis. We just get the 2 bolts and we leave, because beating the boss on this unlocks the VR training course, which we already skipped to with the box heat. So now we're coming up onto Hollow Star Studios, and I'm just gonna cook for a minute. Torpedo knows what I'm doing, but Zem and DylWingo, you guys lack the critical information. Let me cook for a minute here.
Yeah, let him cook.
I'm gonna let him cook. So
I have an idea here.
To explain the VR skip, the only reason why we end up visiting Aquados and Tyrannosus in the runs are specifically to unlock the said coordinates and to get the titanium bolts there. In every other category that is run in this game, that isn't a collectible category, they're just flat out skipped, which means the VR skip and something like New Game Plus No Quit Exploit, which is like, is it the most popular category in the game?
No quit exploit, or yeah, no QE.
It basically contributes to a big sequence break in that run that makes the run like under 30 minutes now.
Oh, I like this. I like this.
Let him cook.
Let this man cook.
Yeah, I'm just taking the least obvious route possible here. They would never expect you to just punch through the barrier. And then there's one more thing here.
Wow.
Like a true secret agent.
Oh, we're not done. He's still cooking.
So I knew that Scotto was doing this because when we were in VC practicing, Scotto went here for a little bit afterwards and was practicing it and was just like, yeah, we're going to keep this a surprise for the GDQ stage.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Outstandingly swag. That's amazing. I love that.
Time to fight Billy.
Now here on the Talos fight, I'm just going to jump on him, shoot 3 missiles between each jump, and that'll manipulate him to stay on the ground until I get him in this wall here, which I'll just keep him here until he's dead. Normally you're supposed to fight a bunch of ninjas, but we don't want to do that. We just want to kill the boss one-on-one.
You're just giving Billy a hug.
Yeah, we
sad.
colloquially call him Billy because sometimes he's very temperamental, and every time he ruins a run, it makes you like quote that one line from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy where Grim goes, "Oh, Billy, why you gotta be like this?" And so yeah, that's why he's Billy.
All right, time for another proxy. And okay, I hope you like that proxy because we're gonna go over here and get a titanium bolt with it. And ooh, nice, no lock on. The whip can lock on to just some stray box. And we're gonna get hope you like that proxy because we're doing it again.
Yeah, it was so nice we're doing it twice.
And then something we didn't mention before is now that we have the Magna Boots, we can actually go walk up we can just go walk up like most walls that have these special surfaces on them. We can, in fact, defy Grandpa SquarePants' words and chase that bus that's going up at a 90-degree angle. Case in point, we're going to go catch the bus now.
Yeah, this is the bus. This is not the same bus that was on 10,000 frames, but a different bus.
But we are going to reach the 10,000 frame bus pretty soon. But
yes.
Right after I do that, there's going to be some nice frame perfect trick attempts. If I don't hit the frame perfects, it's fine. I have the tier guys, I can jump forever. But if I do hit them, it'll look really cool.
Yo, shoutouts to public transportation.
Great shout out.
You mind if I jump in with an incentive update real quick?
Sure.
All right, thank you. We are about $8,200 away from the Village Shadow of Rose incentive. So I just want to remind everybody that the window on that is closing. So make sure you get your donations in. Right above the donate button, hit the incentive drop down and select Village at the top. About $8,200 away. Keep it coming.
Okay, so this is a very treacherous section leading into an extremely treacherous boss fight. So Scott cleared the treacherous section with ease. And now this boss fight is brutal. Again, remember, this is Ratchet and Clank, where if you do everything perfectly, it doesn't look that bad. But if anything goes wrong here, it can get a little tricky. So what Scott is doing here, he's attempting to weave absolutely perfectly against Courtney and try to manipulate the boxes to spawn at specific times so that he has just enough ammo to collect here and continue weaving against her. And this is an absolutely perfect boss fight. Incredible Courtney gears.
He just hit her.
Yeah, I got a lot of
time.
double spawns from the boxes. Every time you break a box, there's about a 1 in 4 chance that it drops 2 little bits of ammo instead of just 1. And I got a lot of those, so I ended up with plenty of excess ammo.
You let this man cook a little bit, he gives you some delicious speed food here. So, onwards we go to Zeldrin's Starport. This is going to have a little bit of everything. Everything, like, at this point, all of the planets that you're going to see are combinations of movement that you've already seen before. So ideally, we're going to be able to have more obvious examples to pinpoint and say, okay, remember this? This is another application of this. So Scott buys this sniper rifle, known as the Flux rifle right now, will be the splitter rifle when it upgrades. And he's going to collect this little titanium bolt that's tucked away right here. And there's one more titanium bolt that's tucked away just beyond right over here. He's going to kill that goon for safety. And he's going to infinite jump up here, collect the bolts, and an animation cancel. And now look at how this is actually extremely difficult to maneuver Ratchet. Like, if you've ever done an animation cancel in this game, it is not easy to maneuver. So now he's going to do...
the camera follows exactly where you're going. You're always facing backwards, so any slight left or right movement just completely throws you off.
And now what he's going to do is he's going to activate the end of the Leviathan cutscene, the Leviathan being the other section of this level. He's going to activate the end of the Leviathan from below. And now let's see what he gets here. This is a time-honored tradition. Can he at least close out the fitty here?
The Clank fighty?
Not quite.
Not
Just a
quite.
little bonk
Very
at the
close.
end.
Very
Oh, no.
close.
But anyway, we're coming up on some more vid comics here, and this is going to be another great time for donations.
Sure, we got plenty coming in for Ratchet and Clank. We're talking about that village incentive, but we got a lot of support coming in for Ratchet and Clank as well. We got a $5 donation from Marathon Man who says, Ratchet and Clank back at Games Done Quick. Can't wait to see Scotto churn through skip after skip and up your arsenal and bring some much needed attention to this underrated category. A little skippy skip, a couple camera clips, and be sure to pay attention to Iridia after dark. Good luck, Scotto.
Thank you. All right, so this is VidComic 2.
We
There's
have-
actually a pretty difficult cycle that I probably won't make here, actually. Yeah, I'm not making it, so go ahead with donations.
Oh, yeah, sure. We have a $25 donation from Technology who says, Hey, Scotto, it's Tech. I want you and everyone else to know that you alone are an amazing runner, and I'm so glad to have come across your run some years ago. I've tuned into Scotto's streams as much as I can and have witnessed him single-handedly roll the leaderboards in every game he's touched on. From Ratchet and Clank 2 Any% to Tetris to Up Your Arsenal, Scotto has shown time and time again that with enough patience, practice, and passion, anything is possible. Get that octuple mid-air charge and an insane Iridia. Much love, buddy. AO fam, ATB.
All right, unfortunately, I missed the octuple charge on Obani Draco, but thank you very much, Tech.
That's a very sweet donation message.
Fun fact,
Also, shout outs
Scotto-
to AOFAM ATB.
Also,
Scotto
shout outs to
is-
Marathon Man.
Scotto is, in fact, the rack champ.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, we had a Rack Champs tournament, and hosted by yours truly, and Scottobozo ended up winning it, and so he is the Rack Champ. At least for now, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the future of Rack Champs, but that's not important right now. So clearing up here on VidComic 2, again, there's going to be VidComics 2, 3, and 4 happening right now. You're going to see a demonstration of a lot of different cool little bits of movement technology happening throughout each of the VidComics. Each VidComic has like a little bit of uniqueness to it. Coming up in the third one, just after this one is over, something to note is the arena. It's very visually obvious when the arena happens because it's going to be locked in one room for several seconds. It is a little bit RNG dependent, but with proper blessings, we're going to get good luck here, and Scott can actually potentially close out the IL world record. I don't know, is it possible with good enough
The IL
RNG?
record is very hard because of the elevator at the end.
That's true.
The method that the world record holder, Insomniac Nintendo, does is insanely optimized, and it's basically impossible to get on command. You have to hit like several practically frame perfect inputs in a row.
Well, at the same time, Scott's still closing out a very solid time here all the same. This, of course, being the arena that I was talking about. You want the saucers to spawn as quickly as possible, and you want the last one, the seventh one, to spawn on the right side. So ideally,
Which it did. That's great.
great RNG right there.
Fun fact is, on the in a practice run that we were doing of this, to kind of like get our grips on like how we're going to commentate and everything, Scotto actually got the community gold. So the best
Yeah, it's the
split
comm
anyone
gold that
ever
I
did
got.
in community for VidComic 2. Unfortunately, since we weren't recording, the source is dude, trust me, but I have faith that Scotto can pull it again.
Yeah, I hit the cycle on VidComic 2 in the practice run, but we have no recording, and I've gotten rid of the file it's on, so you can't even see that I got a 134 on there. But anyway, I'm at 1 health at the end here. Normally I'd want a damage boost, but since I'm at 1 health, it's pretty much just as good to go through damageless versus like taking a death abuse or something like that. And VidComic 4 is a pretty slow VidComic, so we have plenty more time for donations.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to cut in for 1 second. I don't know if it's just me, Enigma. I'm getting like some audio cuts.
Yeah, I got those too.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make you aware of that. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
You sound better now. Yeah, you sound a lot better.
Yes.
We're good now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just
Got time for
online
one more
GDQ
donation?
for you, though. Yep, we got plenty of time.
Sure. All right. We got a $50 donation from Kyuto, who says, Up Your Arsenal is one of my favorite games of all time, and I love seeing all the ways it can be broken. Good luck to the runner, and let's see some Resident Evil Village. $25 from PTA Term 5, who says, Been playing Up Your Arsenal since it came out when I was a wee lad. Finally platinumed it this year. Awesome game. Good luck on the run.
Thank you.
We have $200 from Arenga, who says, I love seeing one of my favorite games from my childhood so broken. The way Ratchet moves in the hands of Scottobozo is incredible. We have $100 from Benjamin, who says, Ayo fam, ATB, I see Ratchet, I donate. It's been amazing to see the Ratchet speedrunning community growing so much over the years. It might need to do a run again soon.
Yo, shout out to Ben. Ben, like Dan, is also a runner of Deadlocked, and been a really cool friend of the community.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
shout outs to Ben.
very big supporter of the community. Very great guy.
There's a glitched wall bounce right there. There's a few frames where you can just gain height infinitely if you're against a wall, and I hit that perfectly, thankfully.
Glitched
And
wall
this is the nefarious boss fight. I have 4 health, so I'm pretty safe going into it. Although I do hit the setup that would have worked just fine if I only had 3 health. So we're doing great.
Yeah, and with everybody sharing the love so much, I actually wanted to give shout outs real quick to just like Scott and all the runners of this series who are just so passionate and give so much of themselves. And I really think that first off, if you're liking this run, please make sure you go follow Scott. And while you're at that, check out speedrun.com, check out your favorite Ratchet and Clank game, and follow the people who are speedrunning those games. You know, follow the rabbit hole. This is an amazing community. There's like, 16 Ratchet games that we have. You know, surely a lot of you watching this right now have your favorites. Make sure you're going through, make sure you're checking out all the runners. Join the Discord if you're interested in trying this yourself. We have such a rich community of just amazing people. And the games themselves just keep getting better and better every single year.
Well said, Zim. Well said.
Key example being this game. There is a new 5-minute skip which skips the 5 most boring minutes of the entire run.
True.
Which you'll be seeing up pretty soon. There's actually an important part of it on this planet. I'm going to make sure that I don't destroy the blimp, because that gives a skill point and a trophy, which I'm going to be wanting to be getting later.
Not to mention, the blimp is too iconic. It was in Ratchet and Clank on the PS2 in 2002. And you know what they say about 2002. It was a good year in the city.
It was a great year in the city. Yeah, shout-outs actually to Ratchet and Clank on the 20th anniversary rolling around a few months back. It's been a very awesome time for the community to just kind of like reflect on how far all the games have come along. So here we have the Clunk boss fight. You can see that Scott is damaging Clunk 3 times per shot cannon shot. What's actually interesting is he's not even weaving. He doesn't have to. For whatever reason, Clunk's properties, you can just light him up with the shot cannon. And it just does triple hits. As long as you're just in the air, you fall down, you fire, and it just does huge damage. So what Scott's doing here is trying to manipulate it so he gets as much ammo back on a shot cannon so he doesn't have to go into the vendor and buy more ammo. He's going to insta-whip back here and attempt to do a cute little hyper strike up this magnet ramp to get up here, go out, and grab this bolt from this area right over here. And now he's just going to make his way back to the ship. There's a really visually satisfying backtrack right here.
Yep, shout out to whoever found that. Whoever found that tree was really good at the game, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, he's pretty good. I'd say he's pretty good.
Yeah, that was a pretty good Metropolis, except for, you know, the Clunk fight. I missed my snipe on the box behind me, so...
Real quick, we're gonna help out the Rangers. They need some help at destroying some explosive charges throughout the city. Unfortunately, we can only offer them a few seconds because we are on a time crunch after all. So we're gonna get here. We're gonna destroy one of these for the Rangers, and I think they can handle themselves.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
I forgot where my menu was because I newly implemented the skins menu to skip the dialogue on the Courtney Gears fight, and that puts your cursor on a different spot. Normally it's on gadgets, but there it was on whatever the bottom one is. I think it's like special. And so I had to go down 1 instead of up 3. Just a little thing. It only lost me like 2 seconds.
These are
back,
like...
though.
While this may sound like people who have never like looked this deeply into a game, like maybe you're just like more of like a casual viewer of speedrunning stuff, maybe you only watch when GDQ rolls around. This is the sort of stuff that speedrunners, like, we think about this kind of stuff all the time, these little tiny optimizations of like, okay, I can save a few frames here, a couple seconds here. You know, it's just so cool to, like, I don't know, always hear the inner workings of a speedrunner's thoughts.
Yeah,
especially if
one of those in this run is like the mid-game planets. You can do Aquatos, Tyrannosis, Blackwater, and Hollow Star, or not Hollow Star, Annihilation Nation 2 in almost any order you want. But a key problem that we have to solve is like what order is the best for ship menuing and for getting the 21 health 3-shot on the Annihilation Nation boss.
Yes, like a one big traveling salesman problem.
Oh yeah, we got the master plan.
Yeah. And we died real quick there. That's an unfortunate mistake, but thankfully all of the enemies go away because I was at the continue points at the end of the level.
And so now this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. We get to do VidComic 5 objectively the best one with no RNG and no boring cycles to deal with.
If any Ratchet runner tries to tell you that VidComic 5 is not the best VidComic, they are lying to you. They are lying, Twitch chat. Please do not believe them.
VC5 is, in fact, the best one.
There's the Quark poster. And now we're going to play as Quark. And we can fit in a donation real quick. If Enigma's here. I don't think he's here. So I guess we can't fit in a donation. I'm just going to be speeding through VidComic 5. Again, collecting all of the tokens. This one, it's particularly easy to miss a token or two because sometimes you just fall in like that. Sometimes you just barely go under one of the tokens. So I'm just going to be super mindful. All right.
So yeah, this VidComic is just movement on movement. It is so beautiful to watch. Just like every little tiny interaction, how they snowball into every other interaction. These wall bounces are very critical in figuring out like the most optimal path for the movement. And of course, you know, there is a left side and right side to where Scott just was. However, the left side is only a health token, which Scott does not need for the titanium bolt. Instead, he goes to the right path, which has the remaining tokens that he needs to get 100 out of 100. So here, there's a really cool section coming up where there's enemies all along the left side of this giant room at the very end, but you can actually dodge all the enemies by just going across the right side of the room. So Scott's going to be doing that here in just a second. He's got 95 out of 100. That's exactly where he needs to be.
So he also, as you can tell, what's been going on with this VidComic the entire time is he's been trying to escape like rising ice. Imagine there's a bus and the bus is chasing you, and if the bus touches you, you're instantly dead.
There are many buses in the Ratchet and Clank canonical universe, and all of them are dangerous.
Well,
but now we have to imagine a bus, but this one is flying in the air, and it lets us stack levels on top of each other. So we're going to go do that real quick. So first things first, I've got to set up an extra save file so that I can load my file that's here on the Phoenix. And I don't want to go into the save menu again.
Yeah,
So I'm going to head back to Metropolis, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the trophy for destroying the blimp. And then the notification for that trophy is going to prevent me from opening the load menu. So then I get back in my ship, fly to Iridia. The load menu opens while I'm loading Iridia. And that lets me load 2 levels on top of each other, which has some extremely cursed results, including the ability to get the Nerves of Titanium bolts, without actually doing any of the arena challenges, which normally takes about 7.5 minutes.
So, for context, in terms of Nerves of Titanium and like how much you save from this, the estimate for ATB was, what, a 125 when this was submitted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the world record was a 113.
What's the record now?
It's a 107. I've saved 6 entire minutes.
Oh yeah, so this is where loading the textures of one level while going to the area of another level get a little weird. And so what Scott's going to do here, he's going to try to land on the ship so that he can make a charge on over to the actual level proper. So again, think of it like this. It's like, imagine you have 2 buses that are smushed together. It's parts of one bus and parts of the other bus. So we have the level of Iridia, but the assets of the Starship Phoenix. And so, you know, I'll just let these sounds play out for themselves.
Yeah, Ratchet's having a pretty bad time because we screwed up with the sound tables that load in. But that's fine, because we get the bolt for Nerves of Titanium right there. And now we get to fly to the real Iridia.
Yes, and this is easily the Widowmaker of this category. This is a very, very difficult section.
Yeah, this is easily the hardest split in the run. In fact, I had a world record paced run last night, which died to Iridia.
Do you need quiet time for it?
Well, at the very least, I can at least do the talking here while Scott focuses. What Scott's do here is do a very precise proxy to get all the way up this wall. Now, Iridia Mission 1, it will end if the saucers spawn in. Now, how do the saucers spawn in? They spawn in when you drop down below a certain height. So right now, Scott needs to maintain as much height as possible. If he drops down at all, he has to restart the mission so that it doesn't complete. So he's going to go on over here and maintaining that height, go all the way across the entire level. Now, notice, he's already technically done with the mission. This is okay. This is a little dicey, but he's still maintaining good height. He's tier flipping. That, unfortunately, will not do it. There are spots in the water that will eat your height when you do tier flips. We did have to restart right there. But again, this is, like I said, easily the hardest part. So he has to make sure that he's juggling this height as often as possible. He's going to be going all the way across the level. And believe it or not, this is not even the hard part. Going all the way across here is not the difficult part. He has to do a blind tier flip. Tier flips being some of the most technical and advanced movement in the entire series. And he has to do it without even being able to look at it. So God is currently, he's got good height. He's long jumping across here. Very good. He goes across here. This should be good enough height to be able to weave his way around the tricky spots here. He lands on the opposite side here. He does an insta-whip all the way over here. Uses the tier guys to maintain his height once again and get over to the platform. Does a long jump all the way over here. He can salvage this, though. Even though he didn't hit that long jump, he's got this. He lands right over here, and now for the tier flip.
Got it.
Nice.
Wonderfully done. And now from here, the rest is a cakewalk. All he's got to do is just go on over here, collect this titanium bolt, which he normally would not be able to collect until he got to at least mission 3. So this skips all of mission 2, and theoretically speaking, even though we're in sections of mission 3, it skips having to do mission 3. He's not finished, however. He has to go back in here and actually do mission 1 for real now, because he doesn't need to actually beat it. He just needs to collect the titanium bolt that's over here. So he's going to long jump across this gap. The mission ends, and before the mission can fade out, he collects that titanium bolt underneath the bridge and death abuses. Very well done, Scott. That's a very scary planet.
Casually, there's like 5 missions there, and with that death abuse that he does there, ideally what you'd do before is you would get Ghost Ratchet, do the hovership mission, and then once you actually have Ghost Ratchet available, you just go straight in mission 3, go straight through the walls, and just go through the base to get it. This skips having to do the hover ship mission. This skips having to do really a lot. But like Scott said, that is by far the hardest trick in the run.
Yeah.
Rip getting the warp pad though. The most important gadget in the whole game.
Yeah, it's so funny. If you ever played this game casually, anybody who's played it knows that the only thing you get on Iridia is the warp pad, which you only use 2 times here, and you don't have to use it at all if you're skilled enough. And so Scott beats Quark's hideout, and now all he has to do is collect the titanium bolt. He's going to go for a little bit of swag here as well.
I'm going to try and do a charge off of this as I walk off the magnet rail. And then when I collect the bolt, I'm going to try and do another animation cancel. And then as I leave the planet, I will finally finish collecting the titanium bolt, which leads to a little bit of shenanigans here.
Ooh, this is funny. I've never seen the T-pose.
We love a good
it works
T-pose.
best if you long jump as you enter the ship, because it's based on whatever your last animation is. So yeah, the ship just left Ratchet behind, but that's fine because we're here on Phoenix Rescue. There's no titanium bolts here because it's a level you can't return to, so we're just going in straight lines.
Yeah, it's a straight line to the end and then a straight line back. Very wag-looking movement here, though. And Scott's going to do another very visually satisfying camera clip right here. Of course, nails it. Long jumps across this little gap here, and now he's done saving the Phoenix by doing absolutely nothing.
The Rangers have got it, don't worry.
Yeah, they're fine.
That was clean.
I mean,
that might be calm gold.
even when we returned to Kerwin, the city was still standing. I don't think we give the Rangers enough credit.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
All right. Do you
Anyway,
want to
we're
say
in the final stretch of the run here. This is planet Koros. There's only 3 bolts left. 2 of them are here. And then I'm going to be doing some of my XP grinding on the Flux Rifle, which I bought all the way back on Zeldrin Starport.
Yeah, so it's going to be something else that has been a very major player in the Ratchet 3 any % categories is this sniper rifle. And the reason being, it is the key to beating the final boss. Now, how that's going to work, we're going to explain a little bit later. All you need to know for right now is that over the years, we have really tried to do our best to optimize the route that we level up the sniper rifle. So in the recent past, it was discovered that it's not actually faster to level it up on the final level. This is the second to last level. It is more efficient to mostly level it up here. So what Scott's going to do here is he's going to do a long jump across this gap, or at least a side flip, and then go all the way to the end. And now he's going to activate the end of the level. And once he's done that, he's going to reposition himself here with the sniper rifle. And just beyond in that stack of crates, there's another ×2 multiplier. And Scott's going to do what are called sneak scopes. By quickly putting away the sniper rifle and pulling it back out, he can hit all these enemies. Now, unfortunately, he did die there, which means that he will actually have to go back to the final level. Not back, but rather to the final level. Because now that he's lost that ×2 multiplier, it's more efficient to go over here.
Yeah, that doesn't even lose that much time. It's like 5 seconds to level up here.
Are you... Scott, are you cooking again here?
I'm not cooking just yet. We can get a donation while I'm doing this level up.
Well, excellent. Hello, everyone. This is JD here. Super excited to be with you this evening. We are here at Awesome Games Done Quick, powered by Twitch. Just want to remind everyone that we are at $86,921.65 towards our bonus game for Resident Evil Village Shadow of Rose. So let's get those donations in, everybody.
So now that Scott is nearly finished here, he's going to get the Spaltegewehr, the splitter rifle. And so now he's going to collect our final titanium bolt of the run, 40 out of 40. And you're going to know that it's going to happen.
For a second here.
Oh, sure, by all means. I have an idea of what you're going to be cooking here. I'm excited to see it.
So we said it near the beginning of the run that the end is usually near the beginning in Ratchet and Clank games, and that is true for the final level of the game here. If I just head over to this out-of-bounds area by the ship and then do some tier flips up here, it's the end of the level. Just like that.
That's a pretty epic
Very
trick.
nice.
Beautifully done.
Jeez.
All right. And it's good that Scotto's cooking there because we're about to arrive at the lunch site.
Yes. I always forget that you call it the lunch site. Yeah, so here we are at the launch site, the final level of the game with the final boss, Dr. Nefarious, who coincidentally enough is the final boss of about 6 different Ratchet games. So in this one, I would say he's probably at his most powerful. It is very difficult to beat him. A lot of casual players remember struggling a lot. We're going to show you how to beat him in, about like 15 seconds here? Maybe a little bit more than that, but like, Basically, the idea here is Scott's going to be lighting up Nefarious for a little bit of damage. Look how little damage those weaves do. Remember how quickly they destroyed all the other bosses? It barely does anything to Nefarious. So now what he's going to do here is going to stand an exact distance away from Nefarious, and if he stands just far enough, he can begin sneak scoping. And this does insane damage. For whatever reason, this hits Nefarious multiple times, allowing Scott to one-cycle the final boss of the game. And now we are here at the Bio-Obliterator, the actual final boss. Get ready on time here. As soon as this boss's health bar is gone, it is time.
Yeah, this is actually a really good run, so I'm not going to do any swag out strats here, because I feel like this is going to be an insanely good time, even though I went a bit slow on Hollow Star swagging out. This is a really good run, and there's really nothing to this boss fight other than not dying and shooting him in the middle where it does the most damage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say it's pretty accurate. If you got punched in the gut, wouldn't it hurt?
Yeah, over and over and over with like big lasers. Yeah. And here we are. We're coming up on it.
And that is time as I die in the dropship, but that's fine. It's time.
GG, Scott. Very well done.
GG, Scott.
Very great run. Yeah, dude, congrats. That was a very great showing.
And for shoutouts, I'd like to give a shout out to the Ratchet and Clank community and all of the people who have found the strats, especially King DDD, who found the last piece of that level stacking strat, the 5-minute time save. Huge shout out to King DDD. That was actually the first thing they ever posted in the Ratchet and Clank Discord. And shout out to GDQ for being an awesome event and having a ton of great runs. A few ones I'm looking forward to are the Puyo Puyo Fever 2 run coming up on Thursday, as well as the Simpsons Hit and Run also coming up in a couple days. So keep your eyes out and keep watching to see some amazing games done quick content. Some of the best speedruns that you'll ever see.
And that was an absolutely amazing run by Scottobozo for Ratchet and Clank. Up your arsenal. And got a donation that I'd love to be able to read here. It seems to be that there was a good amount of $50 train donations here. We have from Sleepy Foo donating $50, saying, let's get that Village DLC incentive met. And another $50 from Kungfufruitcup, saying, hey, my lovey GDQ fam, I'm so proud of the amazing job everyone is doing so far, including this awesome RNC run. Keep it up, Scotto, and let's see that Shadows of Rose run. Indeed, everybody, we are so close. So in the meantime, we're gonna just take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we're gonna see where we're at with that bonus game incentive. You got it. So we also have a $40 donation saying, shout out to my fiance, Caitlin, whom I share lots of nostalgia with for Up Your Arsenal. Here's $40 to see the RE Village bonus DLC run. And we also have another $50 donation from Gibson saying, my 9 friends and I would like tickets to the $5 train for the Resident Evil Village Shadow of Rose. Who else is coming? Well, also coming, we had a $50 donation from Holy Paladin saying, let's make Shadow of Rose possible. We can do it, chat. And boy, can we do it, because it looks like everything is panning out well inside my tracker here. We got that bonus game for RE Village Shadow of Rose. Well done, everyone. Amazing, amazing job here. We have lots of awesome gaming to be able to see here, and really excited. Thank you so much for this big, big push to be able to get that bonus game incentive absolutely met. Thank you so much. Super excited for that coming up in just a little bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a moment to watch something coming in from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, I'm ET6, here to show you some quick speedrun tricks in Doom Eternal. First up, we have the Urdak Island skip. As a beginner, you take this trick fairly slowly, preserving your speed through the rings and doing 3 ballista boost dead swaps. But with practice, you can get an extra boost in with punch swaps and go much faster. Next, we have the Tower's Sushi skip. Beginners should take it slow and line up their boosts to ensure that they don't miss. But experts will be able to maintain momentum the entire time, ramp jumping on a ledge to keep their speed going. Finally, we have the legendary Ecorn Punch Boost. Beginners can do a more careful strat to get into this window, avoiding the punch boost altogether. With some practice, you can punch boost all the way up to this window. And then, when you practice long enough, you can do this. Check out Modern Doom speedrunning, join our Discord, and be sure to check out the latest bundle from Humble Bundle, including Doom Eternal, benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Super thankful to all of our sponsors supporting us here at Awesome Games Done Quick Online, powered by Twitch. I want to read off a couple of donations here. Some biggies. We got Cliobait donating $200, saying, first donation of the marathon. I really want to see that Shadow of Rose run. Best of luck to all the runners, and that we will see. And we also have a $100 donation from Nullfish saying, I watch GDQ every year and love tuning in to my favorite games. You folks, the announcers, the streamers, the commentators, and everyone in chat have built such an amazing community. Donating to see the Resident Evil Village. But in the meantime, let's kick some alien butt in Ratchet and Clank. Thank you so much for getting that donation in and contributing to the incentive. So with those read, we're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. So hang tight, everyone. More gaming to come. here for the previous Ratchet and Clank run, as well as for the Resident Evil Village bonus run that just got met. Just want to remind everyone, as you're making your donations, do put those towards incentives, and you'll be getting yourselves entered into drawings for some pretty awesome prizes that have been showcased all week long so far. So I want to call out a couple of other awesome donations here. We have a $100 donation from Kenners saying, I can't play horror games, but I can watch them. Let's watch together. And that we definitely are. We also have a $25 donation from Jay saying, glad to see all the donors who rose to the occasion for this bonus game. AGDQ rules. Thank you so much for that donation, Jay. And yes, thank you to all of the runners who rose to the occasion indeed for this awesome bonus game, Resident Evil Village Shadow of Rose. We also have a $50 donation adding into that $50 train from Timmy, saying, love Ratchet and Clank, love getting more AGDQ even more. Let's get the Resident Evil Village incentive. And again, super, super hyped that we got that incentive met. I do want to remind everyone that all of our donations for this week are going to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. The Prevent Cancer Foundation, founded in 1985, is a US-based nonprofit organization. Their mission is to save lives across all populations through cancer prevention and early detection by focusing the work through research, education, outreach, and advocacy. Their vision is to stop cancer before it starts. You could find out more information about PCF at preventcancer.org. And speaking of awesome support for PCF, just to read out a couple of more donations here, we have a $250 donation from Ketacat saying, complete global saturation, or something like that. Give me more Resident Evil. So much love here for the bonus game here. I also want to share that there are lots of people, I mentioned it earlier, tons of people that popped into this $50 dono train. We got a $50 donation from Dr. Sparkle saying, can we get a hype train going for Resident Evil? Let's rose! And again, that we did. All right. And coming up next, we have an awesome interview with Kungfufruitcup and Nerd Squared featuring Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. So let's cut to interview.
Hello, everyone. Kungfufruitcup here, back with you all. Hope you're enjoying your awesome games done quick 2023 online so far. It's been so good. I am here, just as JD was saying, with Nerd Squared, who's getting ready to do Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 100%. What's going on, Nerd Squared?
Doing great. This event has been awesome so far.
Yes, I agree. Not only that, but we hit the incentive for Shadows of Rose. So I just want to say thank you, chat. You all are fantastic. We were watching as the numbers were going up. So very, very hype about that. Thank you all for your support in donating for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. You all rock. But so does Nerd Squared. And so we are here to talk about some Poppy Playtime before we get into some Resident Evil goodness. So I hear you're Playtime Co-Employee of the Month. Congratulations. How did you manage that?
I went through the factory so fast, I broke out through a train.
And they just had to give it to you.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, he's too efficient of a worker.
This guy's too good. Need to promote him.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the actual game itself. Now, I actually want to start with a social media question. This is from @RatJolinus, who says, what made you want to start running Poppy Playtime Chapter 2?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts to that question. First thing, I just love games. Well, first of all, I love first-person games, so this game obviously checks that mark. But I also just really like games that have really broken glitches and heavy out-of-bounds usage, and Chapter 2 also checks that box. Yeah, the other reason I picked this game up is back when this chapter originally released. By the way, the game goes by chapter thing because this game has an episodic release going on currently. So when Chapter 2 originally came out back in May of last year, they actually released the game for free, the chapter 1 of it, before it was $10. So I played it a little bit. It's pretty short. It takes around 30 or 40 minutes to play through on your first playthrough. And I did a few runs of it, didn't really pay too much attention to it because, it was just something quick and easy to learn. But then Chapter 2 came around, and it is a monster, let me tell you. There's just so much, and you'll even see in the run, there's so much speed tech packed into it. It's like 0 from 100 to immediately, and it doesn't really stop after that.
So I think this kind of goes into another social media question, actually, that I wanted to follow up with, which is from @Salbo, who says, what element or trick of the game are you most excited about showcasing? Because you're the one who just mentioned that there's some really cool stuff.
Yeah. So
what are we excited
So there's a trick I'm going to try to go for at the very beginning. I'm only going to give it 2 tries because it's pretty difficult. It uses a glitch called hyperspeed swing, which I'll talk about during the run. But basically, you can zip really fast on grapple hooks, and if you do that at the very beginning, you can skip a pretty big portion of the intro, and it saves around 2 minutes.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. That's big. So we'll have like a big skip right away, basically.
Yep, for sure.
That's awesome. Okay, so then like kind of with some of the tech in this, how would you say this differs, since I know you've ran Chapter 1 as well, how does this differ in terms of tech and strats from Chapter 1? Like, what are we going to see different?
So Chapter 1 is basically, like, there are some glitches there, but it's mainly like a game about really minute optimizations, literally to the point where every place on the leaderboard for Chapter 1, which there's a lot of, they're only separated by just milliseconds. That's how tight it is.
Wow.
Chapter 2, however, it's a lot glitchier because there's the big thing with Chapter 2 and kind of with Chapter 1 as well is that there's a lot of the physics are dependent on the frame rate, and the physics in general are just really wacky. So there's a lot of tricks with props. I mentioned the grapple hook already, but there's a couple of props we use to assist with some of the tricks, and the physics, which also ties in with the frame rate. Like the frame rate changes the physics, and that affects some of the tricks. So basically, there's a lot of tricks involving props, and that's where the main difference is.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's going to be super fun to watch. Plus, I mean, anybody who's interested in this game, in this series, not only can you run it, but we do have a multiplayer coming out soon, which I know you'll talk about later.
Oh, actually, it's out already. It came out a month ago.
Oh, a month ago. Oh my gosh, that's right. I'm sorry. I feel like I lose track of time so fast. But I'm like, I know that's coming up soon. How has that been then?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. For those that don't know, Project Playtime, it's the multiplayer version of Poppy that Mob Games, the developers of Poppy, came out with about a month ago in early access. It's a Dead by Daylight kind of thing where it's 6 survivors, like the player I'll be playing as here, and against a monster, one of 3 toy monsters. And it's a lot of fun so far. I've been playing it a lot on my stream.
Nice. Yeah. Also, I've seen people, I don't know, like modding it into VR experiences as well, like Huggy Wuggies in there. I don't know if you've seen that, but you should definitely check it out. Now, okay, my last question for you before I let you go. Who scares you more, Huggy Wuggy or Mommy Longlegs?
It's a tough question. Because they're both pretty spooky.
Right.
Probably Mommy Longlegs, honestly, because like she doesn't actually scare me in terms of like actual scare factor. But there's one point where you start a chase sequence with her. She does like a death from above jump on you, and she gets right in your face.
Ugh. That's a lot. Well, get ready to see that, everyone. I hope you're excited for some Poppy Playtime. Chapter 2 tonight, a great horror, indie series in the middle of the Scary Games block, which we are about to start. I'm so excited with the Shadow of Rose DLC from Resident Evil Village, followed by Resident Evil 7, and then you'll get to see Poppy Playtime. So we have an amazing setup of games, plus more all throughout the evening. So please check those out. So hype. Thank you all for your support. Thanks for watching, and thanks for chatting. Nerd Squared, super excited for your run coming up.
All right.
And I'm going to hand it on back to the host so we can get into the Resident Evil and then over to the Poppy Playtime. So we will see you soon for the daily recap. Bye.
Kungfu, thank you very much. Thank you. We are back. AGDQ 2023 online. We are back. I'm back. I rode the bus a little too far during that Ratchet and Clank run, but we are back. I'm back at the digital host desk. I just want to say you are all incredible. Rode that hype train, hype bus, whatever you want to call it. We unlocked the Resident Evil Village incentive. Well done, everybody. And also just want to say thanks to JD Puppy for that legendary substitute at the last moment once I had a little internet turbulence on my side. So JD, thank you very much. You're awesome. And chat, you are awesome too. Thank you so much. You've just extended the horror block. We've got back-to-back Resident Evil. Our official next run is currently getting arranged. We're setting it up right now. It's Resident Evil Village. Thank you all very much for getting us where we needed to be. But the incentives don't stop, and they never stop. Our next incentive, a little bit later on in our little horror block here, we're going to have a Dead Space 3 race between Sharkcat87 and Sergeant Radish, and we just had an incentive. We have an incentive going on for that now. If you want to see the Dead Space 3 Awakened DLC run, that'll be hit at $10,000. We're currently at $3,800. And let me tell you, as somebody who has gone through the Awakened DLC run myself, that may be even better. That may be better than the main game. So make sure, I want to see that unlocked. And trust me, as somebody who's played the Awakened DLC, you want to see it run as well. It is a fantastic expansion to Dead Space 3. So let's get all the Dead Space 3 we can get. All right, our next run on AGDQ 2023 online is ready to go. This will be the second time we've seen this game. First time we've seen this category. Second time we've met this runner. We've got Resident Evil Village Shadow of Rose on hardcore difficulty. And here is 7 Ray D.